do Breslov see Rabbi Nachman as Mashiach? Shalom Aleichem.
We are two Chassids in a pod. This is a podcast from the mystical city of Tzfat, Israel, about Judaism living a Torah-observant lifestyle.
We discuss a wide range of topics, including spirituality, everyday struggles, current events, and interviews with interesting people.
All this from the perspective of two young Balei Tshuva who made Aliyah.
Welcome to the pod.
Start with L'chaim.
Let's do L'chaim. Yalla. Chodesh Shvat. All tzaddikim. That's enough. Thank you very much.
You know, they say there's a limit. Although people don't really take that into account. The limit's actually pretty nice. It's like
What's the limit?
The Rebbe said Levis.
That's how much you're allowed to have?
Yeah, maximum Levit. Like a four, like this much, I think. I think if you fill this up, it's a Levit.
That's
like,
the
like
most
the
you're
amount
allowed
for
to have.
Kiddush, basically.
But that's how much you should have in a L'chaim? Or that's the most you can have in a L'chaim?
Well, according to some opinions, that's the minimum you should have. But
Okay.
the real way, what the Rebbe meant was like the maximum.
Yeah, so let's do this. To new beginnings.
Yeah.
It's a successful podcast spreading some light to...
Oh yeah, we don't clink, right?
We don't clink, but we clink.
But we
But
clink.
we don't clink.
But we don't clink. Jews don't click generally. Because we trust each other.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the clinking is that, what do you say, like, ooh, like that.
Exactly.
That
And
would
then
happen.
the liquor
Would
hops
spill it
over.
yours, you know, nobody's poisoning anyone.
Exactly. L'chaim.
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 Okay, now I can drink.
It's poison itself.
It's pretty good, though.
So, who's the Grand Master? Who's the head Jedi?
Oh, there's so many. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi. He
Darth
has,
Vader
Yoda.
guy?
Oh no, Darth Vader.
Baby Yoda.
Some say he's good, you know?
Who, Darth Vader?
Yeah.
It's all, there's a pchina, there's an aspect to the darkness too. Who's the Rebbe that leads the generation?
Well, of course, the Rebbe.
The Rebbe? Mamish. Rav Menachem Mendel Schneerson.
Can you even see it?
Lubavitch Rebbe, the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe.
I don't even know, really. But he says in a... It's an interesting question, you know, because...
Well, you got an answer not long ago, so... From Rav Torjman.
I don't feel like I really got an answer, you know? It's like more like... The answer was... Find the answer. You know?
Yeah.
But don't find the answer. Like,
Search
just
it.
search for it.
Keep
That's
searching.
what literally his answer. Just
You
search
want to tell
for
us
it.
what happened?
Well,
Tell us the background story of that whole weekend.
Well, you know, I came close to Judaism through Chabad, but slowly I've been like also learning all this Breslov stuff, and you know, but it's just interesting. I figured out like Breslov doesn't see necessarily that. Well, that's a question I want to ask actually. Is do Breslov see Rabbi Nachman as Mashiach?
I'm sure that you could probably find people out there that maybe think that, but as a whole, I don't think it's such a popular opinion. I think Breslovers, for the
Really?
most part, are waiting for Mashiach still.
So how do they see Rabbi Nachman then?
Nachman's a huge tzaddik that lived in this world. As Breslovers, he's probably the tzaddik, but he's not the Mashiach, because it's clear that certain things have to happen for Mashiach to be the Mashiach.
But maybe he could be a candidate. What do you think? Could he be a candidate?
Well, for many years, Breslovers were called the Chassidim of the dead Rebbe. So that kind of for a while that was their nickname. So I guess that takes away the
to have.
yeah, but it kind of
just-
disappeared. But in the 90s, when
You
another
could say the
Chassid
same
joined
thing
the
about
group.
Chabad now.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't.
But now we are then more connected because we both have rabbis that are not physically alive.
Yeah, for sure.
So we
With
can-
that said, though,
can
there's
come
still
together now and have a podcast peacefully.
there was never anyone that took that head seat of Breslov Chassidut. Rabbi Natan wouldn't do it, and no one after that. But there's always been Gdolim. There's always been big rabbis along the way that have their own communities and But yeah, I don't know too many that say Rabbi Nachman's Mashiach, but definitely there's those that say he's the tzaddik of the generation, that he's the Rav of the generation, and that his Torahs are the most influential right now. And there's what to lean on there.
It's a big machlokas there coming up.
Yeah, you could say, but overall, if you look,
because if you look who had the most influence on Judaism, it's obviously.
I don't think it's. I don't know. Me personally, I don't like to look at it that way.
I see it like this way. I think like we need both. You know.
Exactly.
But the original question was, and we'll get to that. We'll get back to the original question was, who is the leader of the generation? And what Rav Tugerman told me was, when I asked him this question, he said, for one person, this can be the tzaddik, right? But for the other person, that one may not be the tzaddik that motivates or influences you necessarily. You don't feel a connection. Someone feels a connection to this tzaddik, and someone feels a connection to that tzaddik.
And it could change for that person.
And it could change, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, one day you're connected, and then like, I don't know, in a certain time you feel really connected to this tzaddik, and it's about, he said, basically who connects you to.
Yeah. So the Rebbe did do great things, and he's still doing great things, and Chabad is spread out throughout the world. But it's kind of an unfair thing, you know. You can't really do it that way, because if you want to talk about the generation, then Rabbi Nachman's Torah was 250 years ago, and only in the last 30 years he's become world known.
It's interesting. He really became known until you mentioned it the other day. Till after the Rebbe passed away, he really became big, kind of thing.
Yeah, whereas like a world known thing, there are thousands of people coming to Uman and Breslov being spread everywhere. That's really only the last 30 years. Before that, it was a select few families, and it wasn't really that spread out. Although there was more with Saba in the 80s, but definitely not. But so, you see now though in this generation that Rabbi Nachman's Torah, it's pretty hard to walk into a Beit Midrash and to not find some Breslov books or influences, and it doesn't matter across.
I'd say the same about Tanya.
For sure, I don't think it's a competition. I really don't. I don't think it's a competition. I think that the Rebbe had an influence, still has a great influence, and you see that there has been I wouldn't say a shift even.
But who is the lead of the generation?
Yeah,
that's the question.
Back to the question of who's the lead of the generation. Do we have one? We have a lot. I think we're blessed to have a lot.
Meir. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he's the tzaddik now, the one that's alive, that connects us. But there's many, apparently. But he's really special.
He's special, but he's also not known,
He's not known, but that's a cool thing, in a way. It's like, and he's known. He's like starting to get known more and more. It's like,
he's young. He's only 52.
It's crazy. He's only 52, and apparently wrote over 20 to 30,000 pages. That's crazy.
And he has a smile when he prays.
That's the tzaddik.
So
when he smiles when he prays, he smiles all the time. He's like, he's really happy. Come on, tell us the story. It's funny.
Okay, so I'll tell you
talking about Israeli chutzpah.
So basically, we go to see Rav Itzchak Meir Morganstern on Shabbat, and I'm very strict with my Sudash sheet. Don't like to miss it. Don't like to go to different places. Because for me, the highest time of Shabbat, I like to lock in and get what I need for that Shabbat and for the upcoming week. And so we went. I prayed in the morning, finished my meal. Rav Itzchak Morganstern just started praying as I finished my meal. So we went over, and it was amazing just to see him. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that. We'll get to the question I asked him. So
after the prayer at 3 p.m.
Yeah, Avidan was trying to convince me to stay.
You wanted to leave. Can you imagine?
For the meal, and one of the biggest tzaddikim in the world, and now he's in Tzfat, and I'm like, no, I have to go to my meal for the sheet. I'm not trying to miss it.
And it's like, what other time he's gonna be here?
Exactly,
like, maybe another time, but now
I already got a bracha from him. And I was, more than happy with that, the ability to get a bracha from him, and I, just wanted to go and do my avodah, do my Sudash sheet how I always did. And Avidan's telling me to stay, and I'm like, no, I don't want to stay. I want to go.
He said, you know what? I'm going to ask the Rebbe what to do. So as I say that, he walks right next to us. And I said...
Just came out of the mikveh.
For the Rav, yeah. Right out of the mikveh, the first question he gets, where do I eat Sudah Shlishit?
Did you ask it like that?
I said, my friend wants me to stay here with you. And I want to go to my place that I go every Sudah Shlishit. What do I do? And he laughed and he looked at Avidan.
Looks at us, turns to us like...
Crazy smile. Avidan got scared though.
No, not from that time. Not that time. Made me happy.
And he thought a little bit. And I said to him, I was like, listen, you know, the same person that I want to go to, he always tells me that you need a little bit of light along the path that has the same amount of power as if you were to take all those little candles and put them in one room. It's better to have a little bit of light spread out over time than to have one big room of light, one big encounter with light, and then you just left empty after that.
Yeah,
spread a little light. So I told him all this, and he says,
well, that's what you said, or that's what he said?
I told him to him to
that's what you told him?
I told that to the Rebbe.
Oh, wow.
So I said, you're the big light, but he's my little bit of light along the way. And he said, before that, actually, I said, I don't know what to do. And one of the guys there tried to make a little bit of fun, and he says, who says you need to know? I said, I don't know. So Rav Morganstern says, not knowing is the highest level a Jew can get to. And then he took a few more steps, and he realized that I was waiting for a real answer, and he said that connecting to the true tzaddik of the generation is the highest work that a Jew has in this world, and that I should go wherever I feel the most dveikut. So I started walking to my regular place for Sudah Shlishit. And then I had a little stop and I thought of myself and I said, there has to be a way I can do both. There has to be a way to sort this out that I can do both. So I started to think about the halachas of Sudah Shlishit.
Beauty of halacha.
Yeah, and the beauty of halacha that in the way that I learned it from the Rav Ovadia Yosef, that the power of allowing things, the power of heter, koach de hetera, the ability to, with the halacha, allow someone to do something instead of constraining them. And I try to figure in my head, how do I make this work that I can also stay with the tzaddik and also go to my regular place for Sudah Shlishit, and I have like 10 minutes left till Shkia, have to wash somewhere, have to do something. So I started to think, okay, wait, I can wash here before Shkia.
And this is only, by the way, not Sudah Shlishit for Rabbi Itche Meir Morganstern. This was the first Sudah.
Yeah, this is his first meal. I was already...
You have to understand, his Seder is something else.
Exactly. We're like talking like 3:30 right now. Shkia is around like 4:10. And like he's just starting his day meal, and I'm trying to go to my third meal. And in the end, it comes into my head that I can actually wash for Hamotzi and make a bracha and start my Sudah Shlishit, which is his Sudah Shniya, with him. And then after Shkia, while I'm already in a meal, I can leave and go to my regular place where my wife was waiting for me. And I was really, really happy to be able to get to that realization that through halacha, there's actually a window for me to enjoy both worlds of what I usually do and what I feel like I need, and also the spontaneous arrival of a huge tzaddik to Tzfat. So I was really happy that I got to do both.
So you stayed.
I stayed, and then I left, and I really got to do both. I got to go, just like what he said, is go to the place where you're going to feel the most dveikut. And for me, at that very moment, was actually being with him, because it was really impressive to see him, and like seeing a king.
Sorry.
And but then going to my regular place was needed also for my sanity. So thank God for halacha that allows us to do
I just love
amazing things.
Yeah, I just love that he prays so late. It works out for me perfectly.
I'm not
just not for the same reason.
Yeah, I'm not down.
Like he prays probably at he prays at 11, something like that. Like he starts the Amidah apparently right before, because I came only at Musaf, so I don't know myself, but I've been told that he starts prayer right before, like the Amidah,
Chatzot.
right before Chatzot.
Yeah, it makes sense because 11.
I wonder what he does before that. Probably he learns a lot of Chassids and other stuff, and Hitbodedus. It's not what I do before that time.
Yeah, I'm sure. I highly doubt that he's waking up late, and I highly doubt that he's sitting around twiddling thumbs. I'm pretty sure he's working on a lot before he gets up to prayer. Like our sages said back in the day, that the original Chassidim back in the day, not the Chassidim that we know now. In the times of the Gemara, they had an hour leading up to prayer, an hour of prayer, and an hour to come down from prayer. And we're really disconnected from this now in Judaism. I think now we're in a place where a lot of what we do is not thought through. And there's not so much preparation going into our mitzvot and during our mitzvot and coming out. And especially not in comparison to those times. And I feel like Rav Itzchak, Meir Morganstern, and Rabbi Nachman and the Rebbe, a lot of these tzaddikim, the Rashash, a lot of these tzaddikim are coming to teach us a way of being more conscious about what we're doing, leading up to it, during, and after it.
Because back then also we didn't really need that. We were like higher, like loftier generations. Now we're like the lowest generation, I think.
No, I wouldn't say that we didn't need it. We needed it, but we had it. Galut's, kind of the exile desensitized us to how prophetic we actually are, how in touch with Ruach HaKodesh. I think these were everyday practices. Aria Kaplan talks about this a lot.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like we don't have that capability now. We're not as sensitive because of Gullus. Because being so long in Gullus, we don't have. But the closer you are back, if you go back in time, and the closer you are to the Beit HaMikdash, the more like sensitive you are.
For sure.
Because the more you kind of remember, and also from your father was closer, so you like the.
But it's not only that. It's not only that.
I assume it's that.
We had schools for this. Like we have books in our Jewish library explaining how
to get prophecy.
Yes.
Well, you mean the path of just?
That's one book. We have also it's mentioned Tehillim 90 until 100 is all talking about it's the buildup of prophecy.
Have you read the path of the just?
Yeah.
Are you a prophet yet?
No,
too bad.
There's a lot more work that goes into it, but this was us. This was always us. A lot more conscious.
What's
as
an
a nation.
interesting thing there that you would say like surprises you about becoming a prophet? I mean, there must be something crazy things in there that you must do to
the simcha.
That's the crazy thing.
It's a necessity. It's a necessity.
Easy.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing that if you
especially nowadays.
If you want to be in a prophetic state, you actually have to be in a state of joy. You have to be happy with where you are in life, happy with what you have in life, grateful.
That's good advice to be happy because, like now, especially many people are in lockdown or quarantine all over the world, except if you're in Tzfat here, maybe a bit less. But if you don't live in Tzfat, what's your advice to the people out there?
Gratitude. I think is Rav Arush talks about this a lot, that he's able to do the power of just saying thank you for what I have, and saying thank you also for the things that you're lacking and things that you don't really understand. And it's not he talks about this a lot. I was kind of confused when the first time I heard Rav Arush talking about this. He said, you have to say thank you for your problems and thank you for the things that you're lacking. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say thank you for this. At the time I didn't have a wife, right? So I'm like, thank you for not having a wife. And I spoke to him, and it's not a stupid.
Are you saying this now? You understand why maybe you had to say thank you for not having a wife now that you're married?
No, at the time I didn't understand. I didn't understand what I thought he meant. Just say thank you for what you're lacking. Yeah, I'm lacking, so thank you, Hashem. But without thinking really. And then I spoke to him about it. He explained that no, it's not just a stam thank you. It's like, no, Hashem, I have full emunah in you. I have full trust in you. And you have not given me this thing. Or you took this thing away from me. Or you, whatever it is, right? You put me in this situation. I don't get it, but I have emunah in you. So thank you. Because I know you have the best interest in me. That's a little bit different than thank you for an electric bill. Thank you for this. Thank you for rent. Thank you for all these annoying obligations we have, right?
You need to have in mind something. Otherwise, you're just going to be out of like, kind of like, thank you, like sarcastic almost.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that. Thank you. Let's break it down.
That's not a kind of thank you want to say.
Let's break it down and realize, no,
that's good.
Hashem is the ruler, and he's putting you in these situations. You might not understand it, but you know that Hashem's ruling, so
really
thank
nice
you.
Way to put it. Also, like learn, like when something bad happens to you, like I say thank you, like it could have been way worse. Like you just hit your elbow or your knee, for example. It's a small thing, but in the moment it hurts.
Yeah.
And like thank you is just this. Thank you, I don't have my knee cut up or something. You know,
Yeah,
for
for sure. It can always be worse. It can always be worse.
Can
So
always
only
be
now
worse,
where we maybe
yeah.
not know, but we have to just realize that we're in amazing situations, and if it was any different, we probably wouldn't know how to deal with it, and it wouldn't be us. It's not our story. So being happy with just what our story is. Yeah.
So even if we're in lockdown, at least we have vodka.
Yeah, we have friends. Look, we're sitting in
Oh,
the middle of a
friends.
lockdown right now. We're not bothered. There's a lot of fog out now in the spiritual mountains, so the police can't see us anyway. And
I wonder who smoked out there.
Hashem brought all the clouds through. Ashan, Gematria,
They say,
420. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim. What was that?
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Oh, yeah.